Heyers, welcome to the ZedKraze show for tonight, the 6th of October 2017. Of course, if you are watching this live, if you are watching this on a vodcast, then that may mean it's another date than this date particular. Which, of course, you can watch this on vodcast, both on Twitch and later on YouTube. It gets archived on YouTube. This is episode 7. Who would have thought we would have made it to episode 7? It's not a particularly special number. Actually, it's one of my favorite numbers. 7, I like it. Yeah, it's a lucky number, isn't it, if you believe in luck? I don't really believe in luck, so yeah. Anyway, if you have been following the ZedKraze Twitch channel this week, you would know that I have been feeling a bit off color, a bit sick this week. So old ZedKraze has been having a bit of a cough here and there. So hopefully we can make it through tonight's show okay without choking live on air. But we'll see how we go. Yeah, if I do start choking to death, there's no need to call an ambulance and that. I'll survive. Yeah, we'll be all good. Yeah, but we'll might try and wrap this up a bit quicker than usual. But there actually is a lot of news to get through. So I'm actually expecting this to go our usual time, about an hour long. But we'll see how we go. So I'm going to just pull my monitor down so we've got good view. Right, and let's get straight into the news. The first batch of news for tonight is Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V has been out for what? Probably a year or two now. And now a new arcade edition is coming out. It will add an arcade mode, an extra battle mode, UI should I say, improvements, and new V-trigger moves to the game. So it's adding a few new features. It'll be $39.99 US on PC and PlayStation 4. Existing owners of the game, Street Fighter V, the standard version, will get the arcade edition's new modes and will also get the UI improvements, but won't get the DLC characters which are included. So the arcade edition, I believe, comes with all the DLC characters, so almost like, I guess, like a season pass included. So if you have the original version, you won't get those characters for free all of a sudden. You'll have to purchase them separately, either via, I'm guessing, some season pass, or you can purchase them individually, I'm guessing. But also, supposedly, I don't play Street Fighter V, but supposedly you can also earn them in-game as well, which is a really good thing. Now, I've always been a Street Fighter fan. That was my first ever, arcade fighting game I saw and played. So I've always had something of a soft spot for Street Fighter. I'm not necessarily very good. I'm very much a button masher in that. But I would say this might start tempting me to get it, perhaps. I don't know. I still haven't gotten Street Fighter V, but maybe this will be the way that actually gets me to finally get it. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. We talk about it pretty much every week. There's always a little bit of news on it, and that's okay because it's one of my favorite games of the year. Bluehole has now, the studio that makes PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, has now spun off a separate company just for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, purely for that game. So Bluehole do other games, and one of them is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Now there's a completely separate company, a spin-off company, and it's called PUBG Corporation, PUBG, which you'll know is the acronym for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So it's called PUBG Corporation, or PUBG, however you want to pronounce it. They have also apologized for server issues. I reckon for the past week or so, I like their Facebook page, and for the past week or so, every day or two, it seems to be saying, we're sorry about the server issues, and it just seems very often that this is happening. So they have actually made a statement about that and said that, yeah, they will be looking into that. I think in a way they've been caught out by their own success. It's grown a lot quicker than they expected, so they maybe didn't have the server capacity that they originally needed for the amount of people they thought were going to be playing. So, yeah, they will be focusing on server performance into the future. Moving on to kind of PUBG's competitor now, Fortnite. Fortnite and the new Battle Royale mode, which is almost a complete rip-off of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that doesn't have server issues, but if you watched my stream earlier in the week of Battle Royale Fortnite, I found it quite boring and nowhere near as good as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, despite it performing way better as far as performance issues goes and that. Anyway, combined, both the original Fortnite game and Fortnite Battle Royale now have over 7 million players now. Now, if you think about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, it's up to 13 million supposedly now. We were only talking about 10 million a couple of weeks ago, I think, so it just keeps growing and growing, and we're still not on Xbox or anything like that. I don't think there'd be many people playing the original Fortnite, the Save the World mode, where you actually have to pay right now to get in on early access, while it's going to be free to play next year. So I'd say majority of those players, 7 million players, would be from the Battle Royale mode, which makes sense because it's free to play, so anyone can download it, give it a go like I did the other day, and then maybe never play it again. That doesn't mean it's 7 million active concurrent players for sure, but 7 million people have at least tried out Fortnite or downloaded it or something. In other game news, Stardew Valley, one of my favorite games of, what was it, last year, I guess? The farming simulator indie hit that came out of nowhere, made by one person. That has been announced and released this week. Both, they announced it and then a few days later, it's out on Switch. So if you've been hanging to play it on Switch, which I can understand why, having a portable version of Stardew Valley is like the perfect way to destroy your life. So I'm considering it myself because I have been considering the past couple of weeks, if you've been watching the ZedKraze stream, about the concept of getting a Nintendo Switch soon, because there's a few games I want to get now, in particular Golf Story, which just came out last week. Yeah, I wouldn't mind playing that on Nintendo Switch for sure. It'd be great if it had like some sort of cloud sync where you could save your farm between different cross-platform sort of situation, a bit like how Minecraft has gone now. That would be really good because I have already started playing, of course, on PC. So if you could bounce between a Switch and PC, that would be awesome. But I think that'd be way down the track, even if it's possible. Moving on to more game news. Neo, a game that has been quite popular on PS4 and was released back in February, is now coming to PC. I'm not sure if they promoted that as a purely PS4 exclusive originally, but it's coming to PS4 not far away now. 7th of November, and it'll be including all 3 expansions. So if you're a Neo fan or wanted to play Neo, but didn't have a PS4, here's your chance, and I'm guessing you'll have a chance to play it at a higher frame rate and other high resolutions and all the PC Master Racy sort of stuff. Another game that we talk about a lot on the ZedKraze show is Overwatch, a game that I don't particularly like, but find myself playing every now and then because of peer pressure and just the fact that it streams alright as well. So, but also I like the skins, but I hate the game. So it's a bit of a contradiction, you know, a bit of a hard situation where I want to collect the skins, like from a collector point of view. I'm a collector, so I like the idea of collecting those skins, but I just don't like playing the game or paying money on top of a premium game that I already paid full price for. Anyway, the I only started playing back in January this year, so I missed out on last year's Halloween event. This year's Halloween event has been announced, so here's my chance to finally maybe try and do some grinding and get some Halloween skins maybe, if I'm lucky. The Overwatch Halloween Terror event starts next week from October the 10th to November the 2nd. New skins haven't been announced yet. They just put out a little teaser, though that may have changed in the past few hours and I maybe missed it or something. But what we have seen from the teaser is McCree and Reaper, so it looks like there'll be 2 skins for them. And I'm guessing some other characters as well. And I'm guessing that the last year's Halloween skins will also return, because that's what actually happened with the Summer Games event, the last event. That brought back last year's skins. So I'm hoping that's the case, because some of the skins from last year, man, when I got this game and I was looking through the skins, oh, why can't I get that one? I want that one. Pretty much all the Halloween skins from last year I really wanted, like the Reinhardt, the Mercy, actually just about all of them. They were all great. And I'm sure these new ones will also be quite good because of the Halloween theme. The Dr. Junkenstein mode will return. I haven't obviously played that, so it'll be interesting to try a different mode in that. But likely I'll just probably be grinding in solo deathmatch, trying to get loot boxes as I always do, so I can have a chance of getting some Halloween skins. I think I have been I haven't been saving credits up. That's in some other game, I think. Oh, well. I'm probably not going to get any Halloween skins because I won't be able to bear playing Overwatch for long enough to actually get one. But anyway, if you are a person who likes to play it on a daily basis or something, I'm sure you will get some Halloween skins starting next week. And we will be streaming Overwatch either on Wednesday or Sunday. And I'll tell you why. Originally, I was, I think, supposed to be streaming Overwatch. Let me just check my schedule for next week. Yeah, I was supposed to be streaming this Wednesday, the 11th of October. I was going to stream the Halloween event. I kind of predicted that was around the date it was going to come out. It has. So I was going to stream Overwatch Halloween then. But that brings us to our next news topic, which might change my schedule a little bit and might push maybe Overwatch to later in the week. Gran Turismo Sport, a long-awaited game for the PlayStation 4. It's been so long since we've had a Gran Turismo game. Anyway, early in the year, I believe, there was supposed to be actually a sort of beta that people could play for free. Well, that hasn't actually happened. They cancelled that, but they are actually releasing a very time-limited demo just before the release date. So the demo will be available next week from the 9th of October to the 12th of October. Any vehicles unlocked during the demo, as well as up to $1 million in-game credit, will transfer to the full game when it comes out. The actual game is coming out October 17th, so it's only like about a week after the demo starts. So I guess if you're on the edge about whether you want to get it or not, this is a great way to maybe try it out beforehand and see if it's worth the wait. We've been waiting for ages for this game. And in many ways, it feels like Gran Turismo has been overtaken by other franchises like Forza and Project Cars and so forth. So, yeah, this is pretty do or die, I feel, for Gran Turismo. That said, it is a PS4 exclusive. If you're a PlayStation 4 player, you can't exactly play Forza unless you've got a PC, because it's now available on PC as well. You can, of course, play Project Cars, and there are other car racing games out there that have been out there for quite a while now. So Gran Turismo has a lot to prove. It used to be the big daddy before. It was the king daddy. Now it's like, yeah, it's got a lot of catching up to do, possibly. In the demo will be both the sports mode, the campaign mode, and arcade modes. It will include a wide range of vehicle classes on 3 pre-selected circuit configurations, and will have offline and 2-player split screen, supposedly, which is cool. I'm surprised I have 2-player split screen in demo. PlayStation 4, or PlayStation Plus, well, would be PlayStation 4 Plus players, can preload the demo from October 7th, because I imagine it's going to be quite a few mini GBs to download. And if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which I am no longer, but the last couple of months I've been kind of regretting not having PlayStation Plus, because they've actually finally had some good games come out, like Just Cause, and I can't remember what the other game was that was really good recently. Yeah, you also get the bonus of being able to try out the photo mode and try out the library editor. So you can get, I guess, a little bit of taste and preparation before the big demo starts on October 9th. So that's a good little bonus for PlayStation Plus owners, no doubt. So yeah, so now that this demo has just been announced out of nowhere, I may decide to actually stream, now that I can do console streaming as well, because I got my capture card working with sound and that. I haven't actually tried a PlayStation 4 out on it yet, but we have played the Wii U and the Super Nintendo, and that all worked fine, so I'm sure PlayStation 4 will work alright. So we might be streaming this Wednesday, Gran Turismo Sport, the demo. So yeah, tune in from 7 PM Australian Western Standard Time for that. And if we don't enjoy it, then maybe we'll jump into Overwatch after that. Okay, moving on to Steam news, which we often do have Steam news pretty much most weeks. Steam has, oh, not Steam, well, I guess it's kind of Steam. Valve, the company that owns Steam, that runs Steam, and also sometimes makes games, but hasn't really made so much games. Oh, they are making that card game right now, aren't they? They're making that card game, like they go, Valve is making an announcement of a new game. Remember, it's like Half-Life 3, what's the other games they have? Left 4 Dead and all the other games that people want sequels to. And it's like, it's a Dota 2 card game. Yay. Can't wait for that. Though I do like card games, so I'll definitely give it a go when it comes out, I think next year. I think it's called Artifact off the top of my head. Yeah, so we'll definitely give that a go next year on stream. Anyway, moving along. Valve has removed 200 plus games from a shovelware studio called Silicon Echo Studios. Now, when we say shovelware, we mean, I guess, really crappy games. And the reason why these are crappy games is the studio is actually known for what's called asset flipping. And if you don't know what asset flipping is, with game engines such as Unity and Unreal Engine and that, actually, I don't know. Yeah, I don't use the Unreal engine, so I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure they also have an asset store. And it's the store where you can buy pre-made assets, which are like, it could be 3D models, it could be sound effects, it could be game engines and all that stuff. And there's obviously genuine reasons to use that. It can speed up prototyping processes. It can be fixing, filling gaps where you might be an artist, but you're not a programmer, or the other way around, and you need some pre-made stuff to make your thing happen. There's various reasons, genuine reasons to use assets from the asset store. Ones like, just effects and stuff like that, for example. But clearly, from the sounds of it, this Silicon Echo Studios has been just literally taking a whole bunch of assets, chucking them into a game, and then basically releasing that as a game sort of thing without any real development, if you will. So people have been maybe buying these games and then playing them and then realizing this isn't much of a game. This is actually just a cheap cash-in. So Valve have probably picked up on that. Valve is obviously trying to deal with a lot of the curation problems to do with Steam. So with that in mind, this is an obvious move to make. If it's a studio that's knocked out 200 plus games, like that itself gives away that these aren't really genuine games. They'll be just like games that will probably try and rip off a title of a name, something like, I don't know, call it Players Battlefields or something like that, to rip off like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and then just have a generic survival kit asset that they put into Unity or something like that, and then just put some placeholder graphics in there and then charge $5 or $10 for it and hope someone buys it. So that's good news, I think, for everyone, except for obviously Silicon Echo Studios. Sorry, but goodbye. I don't know any of their games personally, but clearly, if you have 200 plus games out, it's probably a good hint. Maybe you should have been a bit more sneaky about it and just had a few games out there and just kept trying to push those crappy games somehow. Anyway, that's it about for game news. Let's move on to hardware news, because I noticed that when I was starting to write up my notes for tonight's show, that we actually had a lot of hardware news for tonight. So I actually specifically put a headline, hardware news. So the first bit up, and a lot of this is about VR. Well, actually, only half of it. Sorry. HTC Vive. Fallout 4 VR, which is coming out very soon, I believe in November, is going to be free with a HTC Vive going forward. So I don't know if that's available right now or when Fallout 4 VR comes out that bundle will happen. Existing owners will not get Fallout 4 VR, unfortunately, which is a real shame because it's a full price title. It's not like a discount title, even though the game's been out for a couple of years now, except for the VR component, obviously. But existing owners will get, as a gift, will get 3 months of Viveport subscription, which, if you don't know what Viveport is, it's kind of HTC Vive's sort of subscription service for being able to try out, I think it's about 200 different VR games, which is, I would think, actually might be even worth it, because a lot of VR games at this point are more so experiences that are quite short, and that, so a subscription might be a good way to, whenever you feel like doing some VR, just dropping in and that. So I haven't tried out that service. I don't have a HTC Vive. As much as I so much want to try out Fallout VR, because Fallout 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. So I'd love to play a VR version of that. I'm not going to race out to get a HTC Vive for it, because even though the HTC Vive has dropped in price a bit, it's still probably the most expensive VR headset out there right now. I already have a PS4 VR, which has been gathering dust for the past about 9-10 months. And that's not necessarily anything against it. I just haven't found any other games I want to try. I might get Skyrim VR, but supposedly it's a bit janky. But we'll see how we go. It's pretty pricey as well. So yeah, so speaking of PSVR, there's a new model coming out, but it's nothing too drastic. It's just a little bit of refinement. The new model is coming out in Japan on October 14th. I don't know when the other... That's number 3. Number 4. I don't know when the rest of the world is going. It says USA to follow, but that's about as much as I know. But I'm sure it won't be far off October 14th. It will look basically the same as the original version. So you're going to have to look for this code called ZVR2 to be able to tell the difference between the two, because they'll look almost identical from what I can tell. The stereo headphone cables are now integrated with the headset. It's slimmer. No, the headset isn't slim. It's supposed to be exactly the same, I think. But the cable, the connection cable is streamlined and slimmer now. It has an updated processor unit. Also features HDR pass-through capability. I believe previously you had to disconnect the processor unit to do HDR on the PlayStation 4. So that's, I guess, a good thing for people who have HDR screens. I don't personally, but I know a lot of people that have brought us a TV in the past couple of years would. The processor unit is not backwards compatible. So what that means is if you get this new version 2 of the PlayStation VR, you cannot interchange that processor unit, which you plug the VR into the headset into, and the processor unit into the PlayStation. You cannot use the original headset with that particular processor, and vice versa. So, not that I think that's going to really affect many people that particular note, but it's worth noting anyway. But still, if you did buy one like me on launch, don't feel like you're missing out too much. It's only some really minor adjustments. It's not like they're upgrading the resolution of the lenses, or it's going wireless or anything like that. So it's only just some minor convenience to the additions, I guess, in a way. So yeah, so I guess if you haven't bought a PlayStation VR recently, and yeah, I think the price has also gone down on PlayStation VR a bit lately, or at least there's been quite a few specials. Could be worth checking it out, especially with some good VR experiences, or possibly good VR experiences coming up, such as Skyrim VR and also Doom VFR on PlayStation VR, and much more. Some other hardware news on the mobile side. I often talk about Apple, because I guess I'm a bit of an Apple person myself with an iPhone and that. But I feel like we've got to keep this balance, and the Google Pixel has just been announced, and obviously one of the flagship Android phones. The flagship Android phone as far as Google's concerned, because it usually runs a pure version of Android. It hasn't got any bloatware on top of that. So the Google Pixel, they've announced 2 models. They have a octa-core CPU, 4 gig of RAM, 12 megapixel camera, and is running Android 8. I believe it's called Oreo off the top of my head. An interesting feature is a missing feature, which is the headphone jack. Yes, they've removed the headphone jack, much like the iPhones have. So, while it could be argued that the iPhone is often catching up in technology, it's often those big moves that Apple make, like removing a very useful feature like a headphone jack, that people end up starting to copy later down the track as well. So there you go, Google Pixel ditching the headphone jack as well. So there's 2 models, as I mentioned. There's the Pixel 2. It's a 5-inch 1080p screen with 64 gig RAM for 1,079 Australian dollars, or a 128 gig model for 1,229 Australian dollars. There's also the Pixel 2 XL 6-inch screen, 1440p resolution, 64 gigabyte storage for 1,399 Australian dollars, or 128 gigabytes for 1,549. What's interesting about that is it has a kind of bezel-ish less screen, but yeah, is running for a few $100s less than what the iPhone X is going for. So if you're not, if you're quite OS agnostic and you don't care what operating system you're using, then the Pixel 2 no doubt will provide a good competitor for the iPhone X. It'll be available the 20th of October, so it's also out earlier than the iPhone X, which isn't out till early November, and that's in Australia. I'm guessing it's similar all around the world, but the only date I saw was for Australia. And then finally, we have the Commodore the Commodore. You would know the Commodore 64. Is actually possibly my first PC or console, whatever you want to call it, because it was a bit of a hybrid, that thing, because it took cartridges and that as well. I really like the Commodore 64. In my retro collecting, I still haven't bought a Commodore 64, but maybe one day I will. But anyway, the news is that there's going to be a Commodore Mini, a C64 Mini. It's going to be 50% the size of the original Commodore 64. It has HDMI, a joystick, 2 USB ports for keyboards or additional joysticks. I can't imagine. Oh, well, yeah, because it's a mini version, so you wouldn't be able to actually use the keyboard on it. So you might want to plug a proper keyboard in it. I wonder if you can program BASIC on it, because that's what I used to do as a kid. Was trying to learn BASIC, and you use the Commodore. I think it's built into the Commodore 64 to program in BASIC. Anyway, it will also include some Commodore 64 classics, including games I've never heard of, like Uridium, Paradroid, Monty Mole. Oh, man, I love that Monty Mole, and Hawkeye and more. There's a whole list on the website for this Commodore Mini, Commodore 64 Mini. Yeah, the console will be out in early 2018 at a recommended price of $69.99 US dollars. And the same in pounds, supposedly. That can't make sense because that would be about double the price then, and 79.99 euros. So I don't know if those prices are all completely correct, but yeah, you can do some research and check on the pricing yourself if you want. Supposedly, there's also a full-size version coming out next year. So maybe instead of buying an old ancient one that's probably rotting to pieces, maybe I'll buy a brand new Commodore 64. So that will be quite interesting. Going by those game names that are included that I can't even remember. The only games I remember from Commodore 64 games was mainly this Le Mans game. You had like these paddle controllers with like a wheel, and it was just this Le Mans racing game. But yeah, still, those games have not aged well, I doubt. So I'm not racing to get a Commodore Mini, but maybe for my retro collection, maybe one day I'll get a full-size Commodore 64. Whether it's this version, this new version, or if it's an actual real Commodore 64 from the original days, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if you are looking for a miniature Commodore 64, it's coming your way next year, which everyone's jumping on that bandwagon right now, aren't they? And Atari's coming back with an Atari box, which is not a miniature version, but it's almost like a Steam box that includes Atari games. And I feel like Sega will have to bring out proper official Mega Drive minis and Master System minis. There's some third-party ones being made, but they just don't seem to be quite up to scratch at this point. So hopefully they release a quality version on that at one point. Anyway, we managed to wrap up this show in record time, even though we had a lot of news to get through. I guess I decided to not waffle as much this time. Possibly because, as you could tell, I'm a bit sick and the voice is a bit croaky, and we've done a bit of coughing and stuff, and ZedKraze here could not handle talking for too long tonight. But I hope we brought you a lot of good news for this week in gaming. And of course, there will be plenty more gaming news next week as well. Every Friday night from 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time, normally. Tonight, I started to stream a little bit late, at 8 p.m., but sometimes life happens, and I can't always make it at 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. So the best thing to do is follow on Twitter or Facebook. I normally give warnings like I did tonight, as if there's going to be a delay to the stream or when I'm about to stream. You can also follow on twitch.tv/ZedKraze. And you can get notifications of when I've gone live. I stream on Wednesdays and Sunday nights from 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time, streaming games. And then obviously Friday nights is for the ZedKraze show, wrapping up the week in gaming news. As I kind of already mentioned, this Wednesday I'll either be streaming the Gran Turismo Sport demo or Overwatch Halloween event. And then this is interesting. This Sunday, I will not be streaming. This next Sunday. Not this Sunday. Actually, yeah, I forgot about this Sunday. Sorry, this coming Sunday, the 8th of October, we'll be doing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the open beta, which is going to be really fun and interesting, and see if that can convince me to actually buy it. Because I'm not buying it yet, but maybe the beta will convince me. Then, Wednesday, 11th of October, Gran Turismo Sport or Halloween Overwatch. And then, Friday, obviously, ZedKraze show, and then no stream on Sunday the 15th of October because I have a concert to go to. I'm going to go and see Dillinger Escape Plan's last ever show, last ever tour sort of thing. They're amazing live. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of their music. I'm not like totally over the discography, but I've seen them live a couple of times, and I've not seen a band perform live like that before. So I felt like I've got to see them before they disappear off the scene. So yeah, I'll be busy, probably dying in the mosh pit at that. So I possibly will be streaming on Saturday night, the 14th of October instead, to make up for not streaming on a Sunday night. And as part of that, I was originally, when I did a 3-month plan about a month ago, the start of September, predicting what games I would play each week and each session. And what I had penciled in here was Star Citizen Alpha 3.0. And I thought that was being very generous in saying, okay, I'll give you an extra couple of months past when, you know, the 500th deadline for that 3.0 alpha was supposed to be released. There is absolutely no sign of that still coming out. CitizenCon is, I believe, towards the end of October, so I think at this late stage, we're not going to see Star Citizen Alpha 3.0 until at least after CitizenCon, so I'm thinking November now. So clearly, I won't be streaming Star Citizen this Saturday. So I'll probably stream some Overwatch, maybe some Cuphead if I'm feeling like it. We'll see. We'll go with a flow with that. I'll probably think of some good things to play then, no doubt. Anyway, that's it for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed the show as always. All I can say is check ya.